Hello and welcome to Casual Veteran Gamer. In this Baldur's Gate 3 video today, I'm going to be going over the ranged weapons. No magical weapons, just the shortbow, longbow, light, heavy and hand crossbows. I'm going to start off with the shortbow, and I've got a druid here showing that off for us. So the shortbow does 1d6 damage, it's two-handed. Now unfortunately, druids don't have proficiency in any ranged weapon, but she can still attack with it. Alright, we do a bit of damage. Now, unfortunately, she isn't actually proficient with shortbows, so she can't use the weapon ability. The hamstring shot is actually quite nice. It can reduce enemy speed by 50%, and you could even combine that with something like Rare Frost. However, apart from the weapon ability, shortbows aren't really that good. They do 1d6 damage plus a dexterity modifier, and when we compare them to light crossbows, which I'll come to next, they're just not as good. Like every class that has access to shortbows has access to light crossbows, and light crossbows have more damage. The only real reason to take a shortbow would be for hamstring shot. So overall, I'm just going to give it a 3 out of 10. Not that impressed because of the relatively low damage output. And until we get past level 4 to level 5, all ranged weapons have 1 attack per turn. So there's not much differentiating them. Next up, we'll come to the light crossbow. I've got a sorcerer here. Looking at light crossbows, they do 1d8 damage. They are loading. So what loading means, well, they don't actually have it here, but essentially it takes your whole action to reload the weapon. Shortbows and longbows don't have that property, but that doesn't make a difference until we get to level 5. Weapon proficiency is piercing shot. We've seen something very similar with a few melee weapons. If the enemy fails a constitution saving throw, they'll have gaping wounds, which means every attack that hits them afterwards will do an extra 2 piercing damage. And as already mentioned, apart from druids, everybody has access to light crossbows, which makes them amazing because they're not so bad in damage. He says, getting 4, and their weapon ability is alright. If you know you're going to be attacking a single enemy, you get extra damage done. So considering that so many classes get access to this, literally all classes apart from druids, and it does a decent amount of damage, and its weapon ability isn't so bad, I'm going to give this an 8 out of 10. And actually, light crossbows for sorcerers and even wizards are probably stronger than their cantrips currently. For example, this sorcerer has Chill Touch, which does 1d8 damage and has an extra ability, fair enough. Firebolt does 1d10 damage, but light crossbow is 1d8 plus a dexterity modifier. So, for example, this sorcerer, his damage with the light crossbow is 3 to 10, whereas the firebolt is 1 to 10. So yeah, quite impressed with the light crossbow. Perhaps too many classes have access to it. I'm not sure. Now, the shortbow and light crossbow are both simple weapons. So any class that is proficient with simple weapons will be proficient with both of them. The other 3 remaining ranged weapons are martial weapons. So there fewer classes and races are proficient with them. So having just done the light crossbow, let's go to the heavy crossbow since Frontav here has already got one equipped. So it's an upgrade in damage from 1d8 to 1d10, which is nice. And there are 2 weapon abilities as opposed to just 1. One is the same as the light crossbow, piercing shot. There's nothing different about that, apart from it does 1d10 plus dexterity modifier worth of damage. And we also get braced ranged. So spend 20 feet of your movement speed, the rest of your turn, roll ranged damage twice and use the highest result. It's like advantage for damage. I mean, this is okay, but we're only going to be rolling damage die once. And it uses up your movement and not all of your movement, 20 feet. Some classes might get more use out of this because perhaps you can dash with your bonus action and so you don't use up too much of your 30 feet. But if I do use this, so we can see here, actually the ranger's got, I think, Crusher's Ring, I guess. Yeah, so he's actually got 20 feet of movement speed. He's got 20 feet left. Give him advantage, try and help him out. Go for a piercing shot. And we can see here, where's it gone? 13 damage. It says damage roll 10, 1d10 piercing reroll. So actually that came into effect there. He actually got maximum damage because of that reroll. He's got Colossus Slayer as well, but that doesn't apply to Colossus Slayer. Reroll triggered. It's nice to know when we do get the rerolls. So considering that this is a direct upgrade of the light crossbow, and it's got 2 ranged abilities, which are both useful. And again, it's loading like the light crossbow. So past level 4, maybe you don't want to be having a heavy crossbow, but as we are in patch 7, there's no need to worry about that. Light crossbow, I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10 because not actually that many classes are proficient with it. No races give you proficiency with the heavy crossbow. It's just barbarians, rangers, and fighters. Of course, you could spend a feat at level 4, which I have done with the Starin at times, to give him proficiency with the heavy crossbow. But since not as many characters can be proficient with it, it doesn't quite deserve to be any higher. The light crossbow is going to be used by many, many people. Right, and the remaining ranged weapon that I could use at the moment is the hand crossbow. It does 1d6 damage, which doesn't look great. However, something unique about these compared to all the other ranged weapons is their light, which means you can dual wield hand crossbows. It comes with 2 weapon abilities. One is piercing shot, we've already had that twice. One is mobile shot, make a ranged attack while moving. Prerequisite must have dashed or disengaged this turn. And it uses a bonus action. This is fairly pointless. It doesn't do much for the hand crossbow. It works if you are wielding just a single hand crossbow, but there's no point in wielding a single hand crossbow when you can have two and use a bonus action to attack anyway. Like this weapon ability, if you're dual wielding hand crossbows, does nothing for you because you can attack with your bonus action anyway. So I'm a bit disappointed with that second weapon ability. I get the point of it, it looks nice, but considering we can dual wield them, it's kind of pointless in the end. Hand crossbows, the other difference between hand crossbows and all the other ranged weapons is their range. The range of hand crossbows is only 50 feet. All of the other ranged weapons have a 60-foot range. It doesn't seem like very much, but personally I have actually had that come into play. Maybe running out of movement speed, maybe someone's at long range, so get disadvantage on an attack compared to if I'd been using another ranged weapon. But the fact we can dual wield them and effectively have 2d6 damage using ranged weapons, and also you don't have to use your action to use your bonus action to attack with your offhand. And one other thing, and I don't know if this is well, I think it is a bug really, is that offhand attack includes the dexterity modifier, and this character does not have two weapon fighting style. You only get the ability modifier when you have two weapon fighting style for melee weapons, but for ranged weapons, as in the hand crossbows, we get it all the time. So I'm going to give hand crossbows kind of like a 9.5 out of 10. The reason I don't want to give it 10 out of 10 is twofold. I've already covered it. One, this mobile shot is pointless when you're dual wielding. Secondly, the range isn't 60 feet and it does come into effect sometimes. But dual wielding hand crossbows is amazing. You've always got a use for your bonus action no matter who is wielding them, as long as the person is proficient. In fact, if you're not proficient, you could still dual wield hand crossbows, but you're not going to get the proficiency bonus in the attack rolls and you're not going to get the piercing shot from them. Right, that leaves us with longbows. Okay, so here we are. I've got the ranger with the longbow ready. So the longbow is two-handed, doesn't have the loading property, but currently that doesn't affect us, and has two weapon proficiencies. One is hamstring shot, just like the shortbow, which is a decent enough weapon ability, and also has the same brace ranged weapon ability, just like the heavy crossbow. Not many classes have proficiency with the longbow. However, you can get proficiency with the longbow with elves. Elves have it as a racial proficiency. Now, at the moment, it's basically a worse version of the heavy crossbow. If you're proficient with a light crossbow, you're doing the same amount of damage almost as a longbow. Obviously, the longbow can get this braced ranged weapon ability, but they both do 1d8 damage. Once we get to level 5, people who have more than one attack per round, such as rangers, could actually shoot twice with the longbow. But with a crossbow, they wouldn't be able to. So up until level 5, there's not really much point in a longbow. So do you know what, I'll just do the same thing. Last time, get the range thing there. Let's get hamstring shot going. Hey, hamstring, and since he's got two attacks now this turn, just do some extra damage there. And the braced ability did work on the second ranged attack. So if you could increase the number of ranged attacks, you'd be re-rolling all those damage rolls. But as it is, in early access, in patch 7, when this is being recorded, longbows don't really do so well compared to light crossbows. Since not so many classes and races are proficient with them, it's not really much different to the light crossbow. So the longbow, since it's got this ranged, and it is better than the shortbow in terms of damage, I'm going to give it maybe a 5 out of 10. I so rarely use a longbow for any of my characters. There's no massive downside compared to a light crossbow, but I'm going to have many more characters with light crossbows. So let me know how, maybe I should have cast Hunter's Mark first. I'm doing it like the AI does it. So let me know what you think of the ranged weapons, whether you agree with my ratings or not. Perhaps I've been too lenient with the hand crossbows, a bit too harsh with the shortbow and longbow. Thank you very much for watching, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.